You got the drop on 50 Cent one time?
We thought we did until we got in there. Mike called us, Tony was up there. I got up there. We got up there, we came in and strapped to they thigh, bullies on them, semis on them, magazine cartridges. I said, yeah, he ain't slipping.
Today's not the day.
Nah. 50 moved different.
And did 50
I'm glad that
see you?
didn't happen though. He see me. But he didn't know that's what we was on. We never approached him. I'm glad it never happened.
I've seen stories of you. What was this one story? You were out at a bar, someone was coming there and they were surprised to see you had some Navy SEAL kind of characters with you.
Yeah.
And I imagine this was like long time ago we're talking.
You know what happens? I come from like a place where you have to be ready. Don't get ready, you gotta be ready, right? And I would layer things around me to prepare for different type of situations.
50 Cent taught us that, not trying to throw shots at him. Sure. But you could not do nothing to him because he had that real security.
50 Cent is widely regarded as one of the most strategic minds in hip-hop, and Wack100 found that out firsthand. As Tony Yayo once put it, G-Unit never needed approval from anyone. They operated like a disciplined, unit-focused, and always prepared. 50 Cent himself reinforced that mentality, stating, "Where I come from, you don't get ready, you stay ready." And that mindset proved critical when Wack100 attempted to pressure him. The conflict started during one of Wack's unfiltered Clubhouse sessions, where he revisited an old story involving 50 Cent. He recalled a time when 50 was still feuding with his former G-Unit member, The Game, Wack, who was managing the game at the time, decided to insert himself into the situation. According to Wack, he received intel that 50 was staying at the SLS Hotel in Los Angeles, relaxing at the bar. Confident, Wack arrived with around 10 associates, prepared for a direct confrontation. But what happened next caught him completely off guard. "I'll never forget the move 50 pulled, one of the realest, coldest plays I've seen," Wack admitted. "We thought we had him, we really did, until we walked in." The moment they entered, Wack sensed the tension. Scanning the room, he noticed something unsettling. 50 wasn't alone. He was flanked by 8 stone-faced men who looked like they'd just stepped out of a special ops mission.
Mike called us, Tony was up there. I got up there. He came in.
How deep were you?
About 15.
15 people.
Yeah, we wasn't that.
This was no ordinary rap. Feud felt more like a military operation. 50 Cent didn't just show up with standard security. He was accompanied by what appeared to be a highly trained team, prepared to react at a moment's notice. According to Wack, the men surrounding 50 moved with calculated efficiency, armed, focused, and ready for anything.
Got up there, we came in and shit. You had Navy SEALs with him. 2 in all directions. Probably about 6 of them.
It was obvious 50 Cent anticipated their arrival. He was fully prepared. In hindsight, Wack suspects this might have been an intentional power play by 50 to send a clear message. Now, the situation gets questionable. Some believe Wack may have attempted to pressure 50 financially. Why? Because 50 hadn't followed the unspoken rule of checking in. While visiting LA, something Wack emphasizes as crucial. Wack downplays it as simple courtesy, but the implications run deeper. He claims he always checks in when traveling, but let's be honest, in street culture, this isn't just about notification. When high-profile artists enter cities with strong gang ties, there's an expectation to connect with certain individuals, a form of unofficial clearance, and that approval rarely comes free. The cost might be money, a musical collaboration, or favors owed. Some frame it as respect, a way of acknowledging, "I'm in your territory." Others see it for what it resembles, extortion. If it were purely about respect, why are there repercussions for skipping it? In places like LA, many artists comply, forming alliances with local groups for added security, essentially street-level insurance. But 50 Cent operates differently. He doesn't negotiate or participate in these politics. Wack wasn't the only one who tried to enforce this. Suge Knight also confronted 50, and as expected, tensions escalated quickly. This conflict ties back to the fallout between Dr. Dre and Suge. When Dre left Death Row to launch Aftermath, Suge viewed it as betrayal. That resentment extended to Dre's guys, including Eminem and later 50 Cent. Since Suge already had issues with Dre, 50 inherited that friction by association. Suge made sure his presence was known, often monitoring from afar. One of the most intense moments occurred during filming for NDA Club. The shoot was running smoothly until someone yelled, "Suge Knight is here." Those words triggered instant chaos. Suga arrived with an entourage of roughly 30 people, many allegedly affiliated with a prominent Mexican gang. The unannounced visit, textbook Suge, was purely about intimidation.
Respected Eminem, 50, and that was with us. So Suge came, he had some Mexican niggas. Now we from New York. You ain't never seen a nigga with a tattoo on his forehead. Slice the cigar, and it's the shit about Suge. He liked the cigar, and he was trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside.
His mere presence sent the message loud and clear, but the tension didn't end there. Fast forward to the 2004 Vibe Awards. What should have been a celebratory evening quickly descended into chaos. Dr. Dre was about to accept a Lifetime Achievement award, with Snoop Dogg and Quincy Jones present to honor him, when the unthinkable happened. Without warning, an individual named Jimmy James Johnson approached the stage under the pretense of requesting an autograph. Instead, he delivered a surprise punch to Dre, visible to the entire audience. The aftermath was instantaneous pandemonium. A violent altercation erupted during the live broadcast, with furniture being thrown, security personnel rushing in, and attendees shouting in confusion. The prestigious event had devolved into what resembled a street brawl in formal attire. The venue became a scene of mass hysteria. Audience members screamed as chairs flew across the room, while nearly 1,000 attendees made a panicked rush toward the exits. Amid the turmoil, young Buck found himself at the center of the commotion. Initial reports suggested he brandished a blade during the altercation, with later confirmation revealing he had indeed stabbed Johnson, allegedly in defense of Dr. Dre. Buck wasn't the sole participant in the altercation. Johnson was reportedly struck by several individuals during the melee. What began as a prestigious award ceremony had devolved into what resembled an open street brawl. Unsurprisingly, this led to significant legal repercussions. Law enforcement became involved. Arrest warrants were issued, and Buck found himself confronting serious criminal charges. While there was no definitive proof linking Suge Knight to orchestrating the incident, many remained skeptical. Tony Yayo later recalled seeing Suge Knight and Irv Gotti casually walking past G-Unit's trailer immediately after the chaos, appearing completely unfazed. That alone raised eyebrows, leaving many to wonder if this was part of a larger, calculated move.
I say we were scared, but it was the Vibe Awards when we seen Suge Knight and Irv Gotti, and they walked past the trailer.
The tension was palpable, and 50 Cent clearly recognized the hostile atmosphere. Following the incident, Tony Yayo received 3 years probation and was required to complete 80 hours of community service for his involvement in the altercation. What remains undeniable is 50 Cent's strategic approach to security. He doesn't simply employ conventional protection, he strategically surrounds himself with tactically minded individuals capable of managing any situation. 50 has consistently maintained a circle of fiercely loyal associates, willing to act without question. Among his most trusted allies was his primary security detail and longtime confidant, Monster.
Monster, like the smallest, biggest security I ever know. Like his presence is big as fuck.
Monster was far more than just a bodyguard. He served as 50 Cent's personal protector and enforcer. His presence alone discouraged anyone from considering inappropriate actions. Wherever 50 went, Monster could be found nearby, maintaining constant vigilance. He embodied that quiet professional intensity, reserved but undeniably formidable when necessary. Maintaining an extremely private life, little is publicly known about Monster. However, observant fans may have noticed him in 50's music videos or behind-the-scenes footage, moving discreetly in the background like a silent guardian. One notable clip shows Monster attempting to avoid cameras at an airport, shielding his face from photographers, demonstrating his preference for staying out of the spotlight, while ensuring 50's safety. His professionalism was particularly evident. During 50's public appearances, at club performances, Monster would remain hyper-alert, carefully monitoring every movement. One telling example occurred during a tense onstage moment between 50 and TT Trav. Close observers could spot Monster in the background, focused and prepared to intervene instantly if the situation escalated. For years, Monster served as more than just protection. He operated as 50 Cent's constant presence, anticipating potential threats before they materialized. His role extended beyond traditional security, maintaining a protective perimeter around the rap mogul at all times. Reports suggest 50 may have intervened to remove content from a prominent YouTube platform. Infoms regarding alleged actions taken by Monster on his behalf.
Mysterious video that vanished from InfoMind's channel was about none other than 50 Cent.
The level of dedication was unparalleled. InfoMind's, known for its in-depth urban documentaries, once released a particularly controversial video. This expose highlighted the true team behind 50 Cent's security operations, with special emphasis on Monster's role as both silent guardian and enforcer. The documentary reportedly featured numerous images of Monster positioned beside 50 at various events, clearly illustrating his critical function. As 50's primary protector, Monster ensured potential threats were eliminated before they even materialized.
What InfoMinds did, he would show pictures of 50 Cent, different pictures of 50 Cent in regular settings, right? Until InfoMinds highlighted this guy that was in like every picture.
The documentary went further, revisiting a controversial incident allegedly involving 50 Cent. Reports indicate it detailed the highly publicized altercation between 50 and Slowbucks during Hot 97's 2014 Summer Jam, the same event where Slow was reportedly assaulted on stage and robbed of his jewelry in full view of the audience. InfoMinds presented a comprehensive breakdown of the incident in their video. This coverage allegedly prompted direct intervention from 50 Cent, who reportedly contacted the platform to remove the content. Naturally, this takedown only intensified speculation about what truly occurred that night.
Remember that shit that happened to Slowbucks on that stage? InfoMinds documentary had footage from that Slowbucks situation. He was highlighting niggas and shit.
50 up there.
Monster's dedication extended beyond professional duty, sometimes resulting in legal consequences. His protective role for 50 Cent carried real-world implications, including incarceration for physical altercations. A significant incident occurred in 2010 when Danish authorities charged Monster with assault after an encounter with photographers outside Copenhagen's Sankt Petri Hotel, according to New York Daily News reports. Monster allegedly confronted two photographers waiting for 50 Cent, Nicolo Arado. One of the photographers described the incident to Radar Online after being told to leave by security. The bodyguard suddenly grabbed my throat, restricting my breathing, then confiscated and deleted my camera's contents. IRA sought immediate medical attention and filed formal police reports. This level of security has drawn mixed reactions. While some criticize 50's use of off-duty police as excessive, others view it as prudent caution. The rapper's traumatic experience of surviving 9 gunshot wounds informs this security philosophy. This history connects to Supreme McGriff, a 1980s Queens drug kingpin whose Supreme team dominated Jamaica's crack trade, reportedly earning $200,000 daily. After multiple prison stints, McGriff attempted reform following his 1997 release. During this period, Supreme McGriff aligned himself with Ja Rule and the Murder Inc. crew. Though not an artist himself, Supreme provided street-level security for the label's talent. At the time, Supreme and 50 Cent maintained a civil relationship, but 50 was still far from stardom, lacking the fame and industry recognition Ja Rule had already achieved. This disparity fueled 50's frustration, which he channeled into his music. His track How to Rob was a calculated move to provoke the industry and generate buzz for his album. But the song didn't just spark controversy, it ignited one of hip-hop's most notorious rivalries, 50 Cent versus Ja Rule. According to 50, tensions escalated after his associate Troy robbed Ja when the two later crossed paths at a club. 50 claims he attempted to defuse the situation, but Ja remained convinced of his involvement. Ja later clarified, "I got robbed, but I never saw 50 with the guy who did it. I didn't even know him," seemingly absolving 50 of direct responsibility. Supreme McGriff, whom 50 once respected, eventually intervened, urging him to cease the attacks. While 50 initially agreed, he continued taking subtle shots at Ja and his music. Then, in 1999, a tragic incident further strained relations. Their mutual friend Black just was killed after an altercation involving rapper E. Reports state E Moneybags, attempting to reclaim a deposit from Supreme, opened fire on his car while Supreme and Black just were inside. Just was struck twice, including once in the leg. Instead of driving him to the nearby hospital, Supreme returned to their neighborhood and delegated the task to someone else. The delayed medical response proved fatal for Black. Just following this incident, E Moneybags found himself with powerful adversaries. Meanwhile, tensions between 50 Cent and Ja Rule continued simmering. Supreme McGriff consistently sided with Ja, repeatedly urging 50 to de-escalate advice that fell on deaf ears. 50 resented Supreme's persistent defense of Ja and suspected Supreme never truly believed in his potential. Preferring to maintain his profitable association with the established star, the conflict reached its boiling point when both rappers, coincidentally, attended the same club, resulting in a physical altercation where 50 allegedly took Ja Rule's chain, an act he later showcased in his Life's on the Line video. This public humiliation prompted Ja to seek Supreme's intervention yet again, marking the second time Supreme had to mediate between them. 50's actions weren't just targeting Ja, they challenged Murder Inc.'s entire credibility and ultimately severed his relationship with Supreme. Tony Yayo later recounted one of their final confrontations, where 50 stood his ground against Supreme, demonstrating he wouldn't be intimidated regardless of Supreme's street reputation.
50 up there. Supreme, dude, you know the old school shit. You know what 50 did? Yeah, my nigga.
Do it back, yeah.
Yeah, my nigga.
That's,
you know what the block did?
Yeah, that's what
50 Cent intensified the conflict by aligning with individuals who had existing tensions against Supreme. The situation reached its breaking point when 50 released Ghetto Koran, a track that directly named Supreme among others, while 50 claimed the song was paying homage. Noting other rappers had referenced Supreme without issue, Supreme interpreted it differently. Around this same period, a failed assassination attempt at a gas station further escalated tensions, with Supreme allegedly blaming 50. This reportedly led Supreme to enlist feared enforcer Daryl Hamo Bohm, a former Mike Tyson bodyguard, to eliminate 50 Cent. The attack occurred on May 24, 2000, outside 50's grandmother's home. As 50 entered a parked car with his son nearby, an assailant approached and fired 9 shots from a 9mm pistol. The ambush left 50 wounded in multiple locations, including his hand, arm, legs, chest, and face. His survival after 3 weeks of hospitalization became one of hip-hop's most remarkable comeback stories. 3 years later, an ironic twist that ultimately worked in 50's favor. While 50 Cent survived the attempt on his life, others connected to him weren't as fortunate. In July 2001, E-Moneybags was discovered fatally shot in his vehicle. The motives remain debated. Some attribute it to retaliation for Black Just's death, others to his alleged robberies involving Murder Inc.'s leadership. 3 months later, Big Nose Troy, another 50 associate, was similarly killed. Authorities had compiled sufficient evidence to charge Supreme McGriff with murder-related offenses. During proceedings, Supreme attempted to implicate 50 using Ghetto Koran as evidence, though 50 cooperated minimally with investigators, simply directing them to listen to the record. The legal net expanded in 2003 when Irv, Gotti, and Murder Inc. became subjects of intense federal scrutiny for alleged financial crimes. While Gotti eventually prevailed in court, Supreme was convicted on multiple charges, including narcotics trafficking and murder, effectively dismantling his criminal organization. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's career trajectory defied all expectations. The shooting incident paradoxically amplified his notoriety, attracting label interest where there was previously rejection. His 2003 debut, Get Rich or Die Trying, achieved immediate commercial success. He established G-Unit Records, cultivated a formidable roster including Lloyd Banks and Young Buck, and expanded into ventures like footwear, collaborations with Reebok, the Bulletproof video game, and his landmark vitamin water investment, the latter yielding approximately $100 million following Coca-Cola's acquisition of the brand. The conflict persisted despite 50 Cent maintained pressure through interviews and diss tracks, establishing a playbook for public rivalries. Behind his success, however, remained the awareness that he'd emerged from literal warfare, transforming adversity into advantage, establishing himself as an industry leader rather than just a survivor. The legal case against Supreme McGriff proved comprehensive, incorporating hitman testimony, digital evidence, and financial records confirming his $50,000 scheme. With frozen assets leaving him dependent on a public defender, McGriff received a life sentence without parole on April 9, 2007, effectively ending his criminal enterprise. Yet his actions created lasting ripples, particularly regarding 50 Cent's trajectory, where 50 was once recognized primarily for his musical ability. Surviving 9 gunshot wounds elevated him to mythic status. His brand became synonymous with resilience, fundamentally shifting hip-hop's approach to personal security from perceived weakness to necessity. When questioned about his extensive protection measures, he refused to risk recurrence. Ultimately, 50 Cent converted trauma into a multifaceted empire. His story represents more than survival, it's a case study in strategic reinvention. For further explorations of music industry conflicts and untold stories, continue with our next featured video.